up yourself. Mornings done right.
All right, at
94.4
11 minutes past 9 o'clock, we continue with our conversations this morning, even as we look into you having a word with your leadership. It's the 30th of June, and as we continue with some of those conversations today, our live streams are up on YouTube, Facebook, and on X, and also our audience remains on KTN, tuning across radio and television around the country, and then getting onto your platforms in the region and indeed around the world. Ndu, Dennis with you today, and we don't stop with the conversations that are necessary for us to have and necessary for us to plug into. And then I have to ask you the question of whether you are passionate about Kenya and what happens in the region and what happens in this country. And if you are, so is the I&M Foundation. The I&M Foundation is the social arm of I&M Bank, which is dedicated to making sure that certain investments actually do happen, and for the last 5 years has been giving 2% of its annual profit towards this, which is the largest number in the banking sector, and very, very going ham on in issues now specifically around environmental conservation. And one of the things that they want to do is say, look, there are ways in which you can collaborate, and making sure that impact is felt. And they're very big on impact, and are saying, you know what, get onto the website. It's inmbankgroup.com/foundation. Find out how you can collaborate here as well, and find out more information about the work that the I&M Foundation does through and through. Okay, this hour we're having a conversation, and before we do that, Dennis, will you remind us about today's proverb?
The proverb today, again in Burundi, and the proverb: the child of a snake is a snake.
Don't have to go too much further with that. Child of a snake is snake. I mean, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. You'll get what you get. Giving an opportunity for us to have a word. There's been, very many days of many things having been said, and a lot of things having been unsaid. And there's many things that Kenyans are willing a leadership to then actually do or get involved with or get engaged in. And this morning, dear Mr. President, we're going to open the lines from now, but we have words that we would want to speak and certain things that you want to say. So our Dear Mr. President segment kicks off now, and I'm going to remind you right off the bat that our numbers are 0719012600. Here it is, an opportunity for you to speak and say, this is what I want for Kenya. And giving us an opportunity also to just say, the things that have happened, from the things that weigh you down in your spirit, when you think about deaths that occurred, disappearances that happened, things that you hope would go right. And I'm of the conviction that, it doesn't matter who the leader is, that Kenyans actually desire or will deeply for a leadership to do better. Dear Mr. President, Kenyans want you to do better, and Kenyans want those under you to actually do better as well, and to be able to talk to them. Dear Mr. President, will you talk to your people? Will you make it clear that you hear them? Will you make it clear that you see what is happening, that you see them? Dear Mr. President, you asked a question just the other day, and you said, "But if you want me to go, where do I go?" And how seriously do you take that statement that you made? That if your desire truly is to stay and lead a people, that you hear what it is that they're saying. Dear Mr. President, there are parents who are crying today. Dear Mr. President, there's a man who lies in a hospital. For all intents and purposes, when it comes to human life, he's dead. Nothing's going to bring him back. And there are people who are afraid today to walk in front of a police station because they're not sure what's going to happen to them. Dear Mr. President, there are children. I think of a 17-year-old boy who lay in a pool of blood just last week, who died who didn't need to, but he died as a result of a bullet that maybe was not headed in his direction, but it landed in him anyway. And his parents have to grieve his loss. And the future of a young man has been snuffed out. There are people who've lost businesses. There are people whose son died within the walls of a police station at the beginning of this month, and they still don't have answers. Dear Mr. President, Kenyans want you to talk to them. Kenyans want you to hear them. Kenyans want you to see them. Dear Mr. President, there are parents of 60 plus who died at the result of protests last year, for which no answer has been given to them till date. They need an answer. They need to know that you hear them. They need to know that you see them. They need to hear that you will speak to them. Can't brush it under the carpet. It's not yesterday, it's not tomorrow, it's today. Dear Mr. President, there are people under you who have said things that have driven Kenyans into the place of fear. Will you be the one to retract those statements? Will you be the one to bring justice to those who are waiting for it? Will you be the one to do something that will attempt to dry the tears on the faces of those who cry for those who've been lost? Dear Mr. President, there's a young man who's been missing for a week now. He was taken. We don't know where he is. There's a cry, Mr. President. And you need to dry the tears, and you need to hear what Kenyans are saying to you today.
Dear Mr. President, the rule of law and constitutionalism is what guides any nation, any country. We live in a country that has one of the most progressive constitutions in the world, and one would only hope that when it comes to the implementation of the same, where rubber meets the road, that these would be done with utmost sincerity, with respect to what that constitution contains. We talk about the right to life that is guaranteed in the constitution. But when your lieutenants, Mr. President, are the ones giving orders for Kenyans to be shot, and you're silent on it, it speaks a lot, Mr. President, even without you speaking. But even at that, listen to what Kenyans are saying. Kenyans are calling for respect of rule of law, constitutionalism, justice. And with all this, Mr. President, if you just paused for a moment to just sit back and listen to what is being said, Kenyans are pretty much telling you one thing, Mr. President: do these things that you're demanding, implement all these changes that you want, and Kenya will be a better place. They pretty much just want you to succeed. Mr. President, we talk about the education of the country that is in limbo. You know, every other academic year and delayed capitation is there. Mr. President, school fees is going up simply because of education funding model, and this is another bond of contention coming your way. We talk about healthcare. Mr. President, over the weekend, I had a discussion and a conversation with a friend of mine who suffered miscarriage. And as we struggled to take her to the hospital, the one question that they asked was not how better they will be or how soon they will feel better, but they hoped that the bill would not be so high that they are unable to pay that. Remember, Mr. President, it is in your government that SHA is there. When will this SHA guarantee, my friend, that when they go to hospital, they would not think about the bill, but they'll start thinking about their healing process, Mr. President? It is the little things, Mr. President, but to us as citizens, they are the things that mean life or death, dear Mr. President.
Well, dear Mr. President, on the day of your inauguration, you were sworn in. You stood there with your wife, First Lady, together with Deputy President, Second Lady. You took a Bible, and upon taking your oath, you swore to uphold the Constitution. And just to remind you, there's a scripture in that same Bible where God says, "Come, let us reason together." Dear Mr. President, a time of sitting down to reason together has come. It's been with us, actually. But it's time to take a step back and say, "Come, let us reason together." Over the weekend, I had a conversation with my mechanic who was fixing my car. He voted for you. And part of his lamentation, and he swore to me and said, "Dennis, I will never participate in voting again." He's an elderly man with a family, several kids who depend on him, but his cry is he's greatly disappointed because his emotions were so whipped that he believed that there is hope finally, not just for him, but for his children and his children's children. His vote was not just a piece of paper that was thrown into a ballot box, but his vote was to secure the future of his children. Yet, he said, I will never vote again. And when I asked why, Mr. President, he said, it doesn't matter which way I vote. My vote has never counted anyway in the past. And this time around, when I did it, I put all my hopes and trust that it's going to work this time around. And I urged everyone around me to do the same. He is disappointed. He can't put into words the things that he has seen and what's going on around him. Mr. President, people don't come to speak about these things with hostility. Look at the headlines. Every day, every waking moment, I'm sure you have papers on your desk. You have the intelligence with you that tells you the pulse of the country. If you look at today's papers, mask hawker Boniface Karaoke is brain dead. That's the family speaking. They can't afford to raise 3.3 million. The bill is accumulating the longer he stays in hospital. 180,000 a day. This is a family that was hawking in town, from his father to himself. Father passed down to the son. They can't afford 180,000. They may not need money because money will not bring back their Boniface Karaoke, their son. But empathy, Mr. President. The concern from every Kenyan who walks the same roads that you will use, who sees the same headlines that you see, who hears the same cries that you keep hearing every day, Mr. President. They may not have the same platform that you do, but one voice among millions is still a voice at the end of the day. There is a mother who is keeping a meal so that their children can eat. There is a father who is taking a second job so that they can cover school fees. There is a young person somewhere whose dreams are quietly dying, or they've even died, under the weight of economic despair. All they're asking for is a chance. They're not enemies of the state, Mr. President. They're simply citizens who are hopeful, who are hurting, and they're asking to be heard. The burden of taxation, the daily struggle to afford basic goods, the visible clear gap between the governed and those governing is not just an economic crisis anymore. It is an emotional one. It is a spiritual one. And it's a national wound that needs healing. And it starts with sitting down, let's reason together. If you feel, Mr. President, that time has passed, the next question then will be, who's going to sit on the judgment seat? Because the same Bible again you held, I started with that scripture, I'll end with the scripture. It still says, and this is God speaking, righteousness and justice are the foundation of my throne. The families may not get justice today, but there is a God who sits in heaven who sees all this, and he says justice and righteousness are the foundation of his throne. One day, they will get their justice. Mr. President, take time to listen.
Kenyans are speaking, and we're going to take more of your calls as we get into this session this morning. James is calling in from Rongai, and not to forget, our number is 0719-012-600. Speak to your president this morning. Hello, James. Good morning.
Hey, morning.
How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm great. I'm doing well, yeah?
Fantastic. Speak to your president this morning.
Okay, I just want to talk to youth, Gen Z. Can I go ahead?
We're actually giving you an opportunity to speak to Mr. President today about the issues.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. It is the president, yes, but I partly want to talk about the youth.
Okay, we'll give you a minute to do so.
Okay. I would like to urge the youth to be calm. Because you cannot raid a police station because you are a youth. You go, you steal a gun because you are a youth. Is that picketing? What are we bringing up? What breeds are we bringing up?
Do we know that it's the youth who entered police stations to take anything? Do we know this for sure?
They went there, torched the police station, stole guns. Is that picketing? Because everything we blame the government. Why can't they wait? 2027 is not far. Everything we blame the government. Everything government. If youth, they don't have job, you blame your parents. You don't blame the government. That's the rule of the law. You keep calm.
Government as well be the one to ensure that the environment there is provides an opportunity for this employment to be there.
I know, my friend. But if you want to remove the government, you wait. You have voting card. That's the rule. But you cannot tell the youth to go to the street. They beat policemen. Nobody, if a policeman is beaten, nobody is condemning that.
All right.
So you say, I'm not. I can't even talk to the president. The president is right. I cannot talk about him.
All right. Thank you very much for your comments this morning, James. Asante sana. We'll hear from others this morning. Joel, good morning.
Salama sana ndio habari asubuhi.
Salama kabisa. How are you doing?
Sina ubaya niko na Mungu nashukuru.
Tell me, what were your words for your president this morning?
Mr. President, listen to the youth. Na youth pia waende wasikize. Wanataka what do they want? Nini wanataka? Because kuna siku rais aliwaita akaambia mkuje mkae chini mniambie what do you want. They refused. Wakaita kwa Twitter, they refused. You know? Instead of going to listen to what the president is telling them, they insult the president, they put the president in the coffin. Please, our youth, calm down and listen. Especially, I want every parent to talk to his kid. Penye tumefika, kila mzazi aongeleshe mtoto yake. This is not demonstration. This is looting. How can you imagine as someone amefungua nini ya kuuza laptops? Laptop yake zote zimechukulia. Over 28 million.
Thank you very much for your comments. Let's hear from others this morning. Hello, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Can I ask you to turn down the volume on your radio or television?
Okay. No, I'm just saying about the conversation which you have.
Yes. Please go ahead.
Okay, I want to talk to my honorable president. Please let him take his time, because even if, let me talk in Kiswahili because I will not be fluent in English.
That's all right.
If you can allow me.
Okay, please go ahead.
Ndio nilikuwa nasema rais wetu sisi tulimchagua kwamba aweze kututumikia kama Wakenya, lakini kulingana na yale yote ambayo alikuwa ametuahidi ni kama tumeyasubiri lakini hayajatimia, and consequences zile ambazo zinaonekana sahihi sio eti ni blame kwa Gen Z. Ni vile vitu ambao rais alikuwa ameahidi ambao vimeshindikana kuvitimisha, ndio maana wanamkumbusha. Lakini ikiwa na inaonekana ya kwamba, unajua, we are not blind, tunaona na tunaangalia, tunaona nini kama pale Nairobi uliona gundi wanatumika kukuja kupiga waandamanaji ambao wako huru, wako na bendera na vitu ambao sijui Wakenya wengine tuko wapi wakati ambao tunaangalia wenzetu wanakufa kwa sababu maaskari wako na ukweli, wako na gani ambao zinawaprotect.
Okay.
Sisi hatuna. Haki yetu ni kwamba that is the only way tutaweza kuongea na rais wetu aweze kutusikiza, kwa sababu wale ambao wanastahili kufikisha information yetu kwa rais ni kama wanaenda wanamdanganya wafikisi information ya wananchi vizuri. But we know hawa wananchi tuko na uwezo. Serikali yes ni yetu sisi sote, lakini kuna mahali inafika tunaona kama serikali si yetu sisi sote. Hii janso ambao tulikuwa tunakimbia kwa street ilikuwa about the bad governance ambao tumesubiri kutoka kwa serikali ambao haijatimia mpaka sasa hivi.
Asante sana.
Gen Z ambao wamekufa tulikuwa tunalilia haki yao. Mimi kama one tribe, kuna tribe mwingine amekufa mahali, lakini unaona wasasi wake wanalia kutoka mahali, unasikia huruma.
Asante
Unasikia
sana.
huruma kama mzazi.
Of course, hiyo tunaelewa. Thank you so much. Asante kutoa maoni yako leo asubuhi. Let's hear from some others this morning as you call in. Hello, good morning.
Hello,
Hello, good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling in from, please.
my name is Boniface.
Yes. Where are you calling from this morning?
I'm calling from Molo. This is in Nakuru County.
All right. Talk to your president this morning.
This is what I'm saying. Now that we have the housing levy being utilized to do markets, to do students' hostels, police stations, this is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Let them also utilize the same amount of money to repair some prison and refurbish some prisons, because they might find themselves being tenants in prisons very soon. The people in government, our members of parliament, and the persons who are calling the shots right now. Let them make sure that they find hospitable prisons, because we are going to set them there very soon, we as the people of Kenya, because we cannot have people killing our citizens without any shade of whatever. You know, it's just the rule of law has been thrown out of the window. And these Gen Zs you are seeing around, they will send these people to prison. And it's coming very soon. So let them spare some housing levy to refurbish some prisons, because there will be tenants there very soon.
Thank you for your comments. Asante sana. Thank you for hearing. Have a good day in Molo today for sure. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I'm Joanne. I'm calling from Nakuru.
Yes, Joanne. Tell us, speak to your president this morning.
This morning, first of all, I want to tell Mr. President that I am a Gen Z teacher, and that we as Gen Zs, we are very sad that we lost one of us. And another reason why people are demonstrating is that we want our rights to be heard. And if you see the budget, especially the one for 2025, the allocation of funds to the schools and the allocation of funds to State House is very different. For example, if you look at the budget, I was seeing somebody analyzing it, 1 million every day to State House, but only 300 per year to a child. So that is very unfortunate, and may he listen to the pleas of all Kenyans from all kinds of walks, and that they should come down to our level and listen to us. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your thoughts this morning, Asante Sana. We'll hear from some more of you. Not to forget, the number is 07190122600. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, my name is Martin from Mombasa Road.
Yes, Martin. Can you speak up just a little bit?
Hello, my name is Martin from Mombasa Road.
Yes.
I would like to say, people are not on the streets because they are mad. People are coming on the streets because they have one goal, and the goal is that they want a better life from this Kenya. So you can't say that people from different professions, you have doctors, you have journalists, you have videographers, you have everyone, lawyers, they're all coming together for one goal, but then it's as if you have put yourself in a cocoon, and I'm talking to the president right now, you put yourself in a cocoon where you just want to hear yes. You want to hear the next person to tell you yes, you want you want everybody to just tell you yes, but you don't want to listen to what you've been asked to do by those people who have hired you. And just as your earlier guest had said, you have any domestic worker in your place and they steal from you, you will not keep them there. You will raise a complaint. So I do not understand why the government is so against people raising complaints for a contract that they accepted with the people as the employer and them as the employee. And we should not only look at, oh, maybe some businesses were lost. Okay, businesses were lost, but it's not the protesters who broke into the businesses. You already know that the goons were sent by the same government to vilify those protests. So you can't really always just look at the economic value, but then the people who are supposed to help in that economy to grow, their needs are not being met, and they're not feeling safe.
I hear you.
Yeah, and you don't go ahead and vilify those who speak out because that speaking out is also helping those police officers, it's helping those government officials in future. And I feel like what the protests are setting a precedent to do is that in this republic, if anything goes wrong, you can speak out and you'll be safe to speak out. But then what the government is doing is you can speak out, but after you speak out, we might come and ask you, why did you say that? And that's a very dangerous path to go on. And I feel like even as we are going to think about where we are going forward in forms of constitutionalism and maybe rectifying the nation, we need to also uphold this right of expression to the point where that you can be safe to speak. You can be safe to go out on the street. Even if you're one person, you can be safe to go out on the street and say, I did not like what happened in this bill.
Indeed.
And you will be safe to go home also. You understand?
Absolutely. I'd like to get some views from more people this morning. We want to thank you very much for sharing yours this morning as well. Let's hear for a few more before we take a quick break. Hello, good morning.
Hello. Morning.
Morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling in from, please.
My name is Elizabeth.
Yes.
And I'm calling from Namanga.
Yes, Elizabeth. Speak to your president this morning.
Two wrongs can never make right, Mr. President. And you stood on the platform of being a Christian. The work of a Christian is living the true character of God. And I think the true character of God is defined somewhere in Psalms 95, where he says he fights and defends those who are weak, those who are not strong, the fatherless, the widows, and those that are the mashinani people. And unfortunately or fortunately for you, Mr. President, you said you are for Mama Mboga, for the piki-piki, the boda-boda person. Those people in the order of rank are the lowest. And those are the people who supported you 100%. Well, you sit on that seat of power, which I still believe you have not even sat on it, because the day you will sit on it, then we shall see the true power of God, how it manifests. Go back to the drawing board. Figure out where you went wrong. I think you are a Christian and I'll still stand with that. Jeremiah 16:6. Go back to the crossroads and figure out where you went wrong. Forget about what people will say. Forget about those who gave you backup. There reaches a time when you say enough is enough. You salvage your name. You salvage your legacy. You salvage that which people had hope in you from the very beginning. These children who are on the streets are in the streets because of the ballot that was cast by their parents who had so much hope and so much belief in you. They saw a man who was vibrant, a man who had a future in him, a man who stood and showed a character of selflessness and confidence that I will sit with my 2 feet on the ground. And as a man, you are supposed to have shown that character. Today, we are seeing a situation where the power of the young, which is the future, and the power of the old, which was meant to have created a foundation that was generational or continuous fighting in the streets. Instead of stopping to look at where to make a please to do the checks and balances, all you do is use force, because you have with you all the machineries and the power to come back to us because we are defenseless. I speak as a Kenyan who is very patriotic. From 10 years, I have observed this country. Men of justice and truthfulness standing up to speak for the majority who had no power. Yet you today, you are repeating the same mistake which you stood for and against many years back. Mr. President, where did you go wrong? Did you lie to us when you stood and said, I will go with the machinery people? Did you stand and speak that which was not true when you said, I will be with Mama Mboga and the Boda Boda guys and those who have been pushing the economy of this country with 50 cents and 1 shilling? We may not be people of 1,000 notes. We are people of 1 shilling, 50 cents, and maybe the lowest denomination of 5 shillings. Go back. You are a father. Other than just being a president, you are a father. Look at those men who are crying because of their seeds that are being killed every single day. One thing I know, words that are spoken are seeds that are planted. Today, you're planting seeds for a generation which was to come 20 years after you. What seeds have we planted? What is this that we are doing with the Kenyans of today, who are now the young people? We are hoping that whatever foundations we did today, it will still grow in the future.
Elizabeth, thank you very much. Thank you very much for those words. Definitely landing. Let's hear from some more folks this morning. Good morning. How are you? Hello, you've been holding for a minute. Good morning.
Hello.
Hello, good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling in from, please.
My name is Eugene.
Yes, Eugene.
Hello.
Yes, Eugene. Where are you calling us from this morning?
Calling in from Kakamega.
Yes, speak to your president this morning, Eugene.
Thank you very much. Let me just talk to the president. That last year, 2024, people went on the street and they came up with austerity measures. One of the austerity measures was that no public officers will participate in what we call harambe. But we have seen now some politicians dishing out millions of money in what we call that something called empowerment fund. We know that businesses in Kenya are closing down. It cannot be that only the businesses owned by politicians are making profit when other businesses are closing down. So when Kenyans are asking, where are these politicians getting this money, they're simply asking the president they are simply asking for accountability. So, Mr. President, please, when you say something, mean what you say. Because people allied to you are doing directly opposite to what you said. Number two, we have seen matters to do with health. Let me congratulate Ms. Honorable Ndwale. He's doing better right now. So let Mr. President ask other ministers close to him to behave like Ndwale, because now to some extent I can agree that SHA is now working. But when you go to some hospital right now, they will tell you, private hospitals, they will tell you SHA is only paying for consultation. So what we have seen Ndwale is trying to his level best to make sure that Kenyans can access our good health. So what we don't want to see, Mr. President, is opulence from people around you. Kindly ask them to work for Kenyans and let them account, because we know what they earn sometimes, and when they go around the country dishing millions of money, we wonder where do they get this money. Thank you very much.
Asante Sana, Eugene calling in from Kakamega. We'll take one more call and we'll take a quick break and continue with this. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling in from, please.
Stephen Nyaga.
Yes, Stephen, just speak up just a little bit so we can hear you. Tell us where you're calling in from.
Yeah, I'm Stephen Nyaga calling from Mombasa.
Yes, talk to your president, please.
Yeah, I'll be a bit more very brief.
Yes.
But precise. I think the president, I think he has lost trust. He has really lost trust in him. And I think whatever we expected from you, the president, we do not expect what we are getting now. One thing, we elected you as a very humble person, God-fearing, somebody who we thought is a very trustworthy. But I think what we are seeing now is really opposite of what we thought of. You need first to stop advising your advisors. Because always, as we were told by Babu Owino, when you are a bright president is advised by full advisors, you become a full president. So you need to be listening to the people who advise you, and then weigh and get the whatever is right, you do the right thing. Secondly, you need to retract na mambo ya kuwa na kiburi. Mungu anapendaga mtu mwenye anasikiza watu, mtu mcha Mungu. Juu hakuna venye unaweza kuwa kila wakati nikikukompea na our former president Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta alikuwa anakuja pale kwa screen, kila mtu anataka kumsikiza. Unapata akiongea hata kama amekukwaza, because he used to tell us, dear Kenyans, mpaka unasikia yenyewe hata wewe unavutiwa na whatever speech he is making. For you unakuja pale kuna kiburi, ni kama hutaki kusikiza mtu. Unapata mpaka watu wenye wamekuzunguka wakuwe na kiburi mingi.
Let's take up some more calls this morning. Definitely, I mean, the message is clear. Thank you so much, Stephen. We'll take in some more calls. Sawa, thank you very much for your comments this morning. We're going to take a quick break, folks, and then we'll be back to hear a few more of your comments. Not to forget that call is 0719012600. Talk to your president this morning. Dear Mr. President, on the Situation Room at 13 minutes to 10 o'clock. We'll take in some more calls when we come back from this quick break. Necessary for you to speak and do it now this morning. We'll be back shortly after this.
Dial *811 *801# to get this as your skiza tune. KTN, dear home.
DJ Tatua.
Kuwa mkono ambao unalima ardhi, mlango wa mkulima.
In the quiet countryside of Kikuyu, Kiambu County, a unique kind of farming thrives. One that barks, bites and brings in big business.
Don't let your dog to be the overall master, because it is going to control you. When you put it on a leash, it will pull. And when it pulls, it shows that he is the boss. I can put this food down here and my dog won't eat till I give it a command. Go ahead. Eat. Stop. No, sit. This is also the best way to control on food poisoners. We have German Shepherds, 2 types. We have the shoreline and the working line. Naona ni mbwa mzuri. Anaitwaje? Anaitwa Charlie. Lakini wakati utajaribu kunichokoza, Charlie anageuka sasa, ana protect. Watch.
I make my Tuesday count by reading the Financial Standard. It helps me make much better and smarter financial decisions.
Setting the standard every day of the week. The Standard, Kenya's bold newspaper.
Belt will always have news of tradition and things we need to follow. The Trading Belt, however, will always have news of precision, where industry makers and market movers have their stories to tell.
We want to exit some of the companies to the capital market so that we can deepen the market.
The thing about leadership is you're doing everything, but I think what's not seen is it's a very strong support team that on a day-to-day basis enables you to do well.
The performance of the shilling has a direct bearing on inflation because we import quite significantly the amount of goods that we consume in this country.
So tune in every Tuesday night for your dose of the Trading Belt, where industry movers and market shakers have their stories to tell that happened right here at the Bauhaus.
Left and just tell Mr. William Ruto that you owe Kenyans a lot. And as Elizabeth said and quoted the Bible, that it's up to you to do a self-audit and find out where you came from. This country gave you a tremendous mandate. You didn't need anyone, any coalition or anything to govern this country correctly. You had the most governors, most MCAs, most MPs, and you have become a case study of how not to govern a country. After this, Kenyans gave you an overwhelming mandate. In fact, what most people don't capture is that he broke a record of sorts in multi-party democracy in Kenya, being the first to have such a wide mandate in a country that has been ethically divided. In one point or the other, his election breached the tribal affiliations that we've always had in the fact. The people united and were very faithful to his presidency. And now he's kicked Kenyans right in their teeth. And the governance is not what they expected. I don't want to water down what you had said with your colleague in your address to him, but does he ever listen? That is why I'm even failing to say, dear Mr. President. I'm saying, dear Mr. William Ruto. Maybe if we say William Ruto, you will go and find where William Ruto is, find his promises, his campaign, his journey, where he has come from, and maybe with that, you may be able to start doing a self-audit and acting to Kenyans as they expected you to do during the campaign. Thank you very much for the program.
Kerry, thank you so much for your comments this morning. Asante Sana, always good to have you plugged in. And let's hear a few more of your calls as they come in. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please tell us your name and where you're calling in from.
Oh, my name is Aaron from Nairobi.
Yes, Aaron, talk to your president this morning.
I have a message to Mr. President, even though he's not in the country at the moment. Now, first things first, this entire month of June, have we ever had like a normal week? Like there's always something happening. Tomorrow someone has been abducted, and then there are now hashtags in Twitter, free who, free this one. Then last week, but free Ojuan, I mean, rest in peace to him. And then last week, but one, I think that was when Boniface was shot. And then last week there were protests, which of course we know what happened. And then there are now these recent statements from our leaders. For example, C.S. Murkomen. That statement he had, I don't need to repeat it again. Then waking up this morning, there's this former Owino or something. I think that's his name. Goodness, when will it all end? Like, everywhere I turn, SHA is not working, the vehicles have been imposed, new taxes, Goodness, Mr. President, please. Okay, I know probably our voices may not reach you, but I hope God will speak to you through us.
They'll reach.
Or maybe, yeah, I really hope they'll reach, but it's reached a point where, Mr. President, it seems like you've lost, quote unquote, lost control of this country. Because now I would like to put it into context. Like, let's say we are in a gaseous room and it's filling in with flammable gas and there's no outlet. And all that's required is just a single spark. And that spark may come from the people working under you, or God knows where it's going to come from. Because this entire month of June has been nothing but negative issues about this government, and who knows what July has in store for us. So, Mr. President, please, please take back control of this country. Please listen to us, tafadhali. Or if you don't take control, the citizens will.
Thank you for your comments this morning, Aaron. They'll find their way home. Asante sana. Yeah. Let's hear from Benson, who's tuned in from Vihiga. Benson, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm happy to be with part of your team. Look at what is happening in the country. It is so sad that people are dying and the president is just mum. He's not even listening to the cries of the people. And these are the people he swore to lead. And he used the Bible. The president, Mr. President, remember, you came to leadership through the church. You talked to the church. You talked to every one of us. And we got convinced. We got convinced that you are going to lead us in the right direction. Mr. President, you talked about bottom-up, which really many people thought that you meant what you said, that people who are down will come up. The narrative has completely changed. And Mr. President, we urge you not to be instructing your good officers. You like using the word, my good people. We are also asking you as our president, our good president, don't lock up stations. Don't put them off. Because this is our only source of information. And Mr. President, I heard you loud and clear on national television. You are addressing people and you said with your own mouth and you are using your own words that you would wish to go back and do farming. Mr. President, if you know that this country has defeated you to govern, why can't you just do an honorable thing? These Kenyans are good people. Just tender your resignation, then let us go for elections instead of people suffering and young people dying. Mr. President, when young people die, surely, even before God, who created you and created all these people, what do you think, even where you are seated, Mr. President, this blood, it might haunt you and your family, which is not right. You are a man of God. You have talked about God several times. So my word to you, as Andai Omwakwe from Bunyore, I'm saying, Mr. President, kindly calm down. Calm down, bring our nation together.